And I will tell you, his enthusiasm in that interview, he was interviewed to become Plainfield's municipal planner. And he certainly, he was light years ahead of me when it came to ideas. And for an hour, I sat, never had an interview for an hour, and listened to him, you know, talk to me, but at the same time, he was selling himself. I think he was wise enough to know that if he left the right impression, and I didn't know Jason at all, but he turned out to be one of the better hires that I ever had the privilege to do. Jason became very friendly with the help here at the town hall, as well as the townspeople. And he, as you know, he was very good with a computer. He could do anything, he could teach anybody except me. He did assure me of one thing: no matter what I did to that computer, there was no way I could mess it up. I could not get deep enough into the computer, I guess, to make it screw up, and not to worry about it. Call him when you have a problem. And I call him every day, kind of regularly. And I want to show you some of the things that I had to put up with Jason. This here is a collage. And if you look up here at the National Enquirer, and I appeared on the National Enquirer, and it says, this is Dale Clark, by the way, former selectman of Sterling. And they used to call me Bubba. It says, Bubba to Dale, will you marry me? An inside look at politics in rural Connecticut. The next shot is me thinking about meatballs during the press conference. I'm thinking about meatballs. Meatball grinder at Gus's, you know. Jason Vincent left his mark. He left his mark by the things that we got done, the things that we accomplished, and people recognized that. And he was part of the team. I loved him. The town of Plainfield loved him. And he was important to all of us.
Jason's parents and myself and my son, we all went to Plainfield together. We're all natives here of the town. And I was really pleasantly surprised when Jason became an employee here at work. I was building inspector for 28 years here, so I was employed here while Jason was hired. So one time I forgot the exact question he had, but he was working on a project and he had a building code question. He says, geez, I don't know what to do with this. So he asked me, I wish I could remember the question. He asked me the question and I just spit out the answer like that. And he said, boy, how do you know all that stuff? So I didn't want to tell him that there's probably 3 questions that I could answer like that. So he said, where did you go to school? And I said, well, Plainfield. He said, yeah, but after that, where did you go? I said, well, I didn't go anywhere. He said, boy, that's amazing that you know all that stuff. Again, I really don't. So he said, you must have street smarts. That's really good. And I'm going to remember that forever, that was the conversation that we had. And he said I had street smarts. So I guess that's how you survive in Plainfield. Class of 7.
And one day I was working in my office and Jason stopped by to chit-chat for a minute. And there was like a little revolving photo frame holder on my desk, but I didn't have any pictures in it yet. So he looked at it and swirled it around and he said something to the effect of, why aren't there any pictures in this? Don't you have any friends? So we laughed, and I really didn't think anything more of it. A few days later, I came back from lunch, and there on my desk was the photo frame holder with one picture inserted, a picture of 2 cartoon characters with an insert that said, Louise's friends. Thinking of it brings back the fondest memories of Jason. He was just a sweetie.
I'm just here to say that it's very simple. Jason was an amazing person, and he loved Kyle, and Kyle loved him very much and thought the world of him. And he's just done so much for this town, and we're just so happy to have had him in our lives. Thank you, Jason.
put 5 people together and we met down here because we knew that we're going to have to raise some money to make this all happen, depending on the idea that we would come up with. We came up with the idea of a bench, a monument with his picture, something to be lasting that people would always see. And but we knew we had to raise money. We needed money, so that's where all the rest of you guys would have came in. We would have come and hit you up for money in order to do what we wanted to do in honor of Jason. Well, that was one day. The next day I got a phone call from Kyle, and this is truly amazing. Mercer Monuments Works, Graham and Kristen Everson, said they would donate everything. And I'm assuming they didn't make it. Would Steve Van Ness be here? Steve here? Steve. Steve over there is Kristen and Graham's son. You got that right. He's the one that poured the foundation. He's the one that set this whole project up. That was just a stunning donation. We weren't ready for that.
We're happy to do it, Paul.
True visionary, a true friend.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming out today. What a wonderful day it's been. And for those who shared their personal stories, over the last few months, we have listened to a number of stories, and all of these stories are just snapshots in time, and they add to our memories, and they enrich our memories of Jason. And we're grateful for that. And a special thanks to Graham Emerson and of Mercer Monuments, Steve, for donating this beautiful bench. What a nice memorial. So besides being the planner in Plainfield, he went on to become the director of planning in Stonington, president of NCDC in Norwich, and an active partner in Epicure Brewery. He served a 3-year term as president of the Connecticut Planning Association, sat on the board of directors of several nonprofit and for-profit organizations, gave lectures at UConn, addressed the state legislature on behalf of communities and small businesses, and served on the state committee on affordable housing. He was also a successful grant writer, as you had mentioned, that secured millions of dollars for communities and small businesses. He received many awards, accommodations, and a couple proclamations, one from the state legislature after his passing. That's to list a few. Not bad for a C kind of guy, right? So this wonderful bench to honor Jason is a tribute to his leadership and his citizenship as in service to his neighbors and community. Then it's fitting for a community to memorialize the lives of their own, who have distinguished themselves, bringing pride and respect to the community. But it's also a validation of the community. The bench, although it has Jay's name and picture on it, is a tribute to all the wonderful men and women, some here today, I've noticed, who have grown up in this town, now serve as teachers, coaches, police officers, mentors of all kinds, continuing the legacy of past generations. So speaking of generations, Jason was a 5th generation Vincent in this town. 2 sets of great-great-grandparents settled here to work in the mills in Plainfield and in Moosoc. So his roots ran deep. So, in conclusion, Jason was an agent of change, an advocate for ethnic diversity, racial equality, and social harmony. His favorite quote, "A rising tide lifts all ships." He loved his family and his friends, and a great sense of humor. Nice message. And he could be found discussing important issues with civic leaders, business leaders, and on occasion sharing a meal with a homeless person. Like that NBA star he quoted as a teenager, he eventually became a good role model indeed. Perfect no, grand yes.